That's right, folks. Big names, torturous interviews on the Jerry Doyle Show. JD here. Good to have you on board. Your 6'3" ATM of información loaded up, ready to be accessed. The PIN 800-876-4123. On the program where we like our flying a little turbulent, our women a little crazy, our politics a little messy. Marcelo working the dials. Brad producing some just joyous news to start the program off today. I'm not sure if he's mocking me or if this is an actual fact of programming here on the show, but does Willie Nelson really want to come on the program?
Yeah, he does. He heard your interview with Allman yesterday, and he said,
"Well, all right.
I know how to deal with this guy."
Willie Nelson, we have to have Willie Nelson on, right? We do. We have to.
He's a legend. He's a legend, and he's cogent.
And he's cogent. All right, good. So Willie Nelson, not today. He's not going to join us today. But at some point in the next few days, Willie Nelson is going to be on the program with us. Should we do a pre-tape on that, perhaps?
You know, I was actually thinking that because they asked me, what time do you want to record the interview?
You know what? We'll just ask him what time's best for him. Why don't we do that? What time's best for him? Even if it's like 10 o'clock at night in any time zone or 2 in the morning. We'll just make it happen so that when Willie's in the sweet spot, when he's going Big Willie, then we'll make sure that we get Willie Nelson on the program. I love to do it live, but I'm a little gun shy. And I did not take Brian Gann, the ops manager at KFAQ in Tulsa, Oklahoma's idea to have Greg Allman as the co-host of the first hour of the program today. I just had a funny feeling it wasn't going to work out too well. Poll question up there for you today at the website, jerrydoyle.com. Now listen to this one, folks. After 9/11/2001, California lawmakers introduced a We Will Never Forget commemorative license plate, and the proceeds were going to fund scholarships for California victims' children. The question is, of the $15 million raised, how much actually went to scholarships? Here's your choices. I hope the answer isn't zero. $21,381, $213,810, $2,138,100, or all of it. 3% think all of it went. 8% say the $2 million number. 5% say the $200,000 number. 10% say the $21,000 number. And 74% are saying, I hope the answer isn't zero. That isn't the answer. It is one of the other four. But I would have to think that if it's not the fifth, all of it, from the commemorative We Will Never Forget license plate, with the proceeds going to fund scholarships for the children of the California victims of 9/11, that somewhere along the way you're going to be disappointed. But we still want your answer there at the website, jerrydoyle.com, or give us a call here at 800-876-4123. You know, I'm looking at this story, and there's a lot of stuff to get to on the program today. We've got Romney shining in Nevada, but supposedly in Trump's shadow. We've got long-term unemployment benefits getting the pink slip courtesy of Congress. We've got government-mandated exercise. We've got stand up for health or you might die sooner. And we've got bovine day spas. That and a lot more to get to on the show today. Great guest, Matt Welch, the author, editor-in-chief of Reason Magazine, at the bottom of this hour to talk about the Romney campaign's damaging distraction known as T-Rump, Donald Trump. And a great guest, Henry Crumpton. You might have seen a 60 Minutes interview. He's a 24-year veteran of the CIA clandestine services. Now, #1 New York Times bestselling author. His book is The Art of Intelligence. Went through his book, and there's a lot in there with regard to what we were able to do in Afghanistan. And the question is, what the hell are we doing there now? He's going to join us in the next hour. You can join us now. Now, with regard to this California raid of this scholarship fund, as I'm reading this story, and I'm going and I'm doing some research on the numbers, how much money was raised, how long the program's been in existence, what promises were made to people, it's disgusting on one level. It's not surprising on another level because you're dealing with politicians. But this is Governor Jerry Brown. This is Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is the California legislature. This is politics as usual. But you'd have to think that some things for politicians would be, we can't go there. But apparently there are no depths to which elected officials will sink when it comes to bailing out their inability to stop spending under the guise of supposedly helping us, but in actuality, it's just about buying votes. How much can I promise to how many so I can ensure my political future? Now, this is not unique to California. When I was going through this story, I was thinking back to the esteemed governor of Illinois, Rod Blagojevich. Now, Blago, I thought had hit perhaps the depths that few would hit. I thought that was a one-off when he was sending $8 million to Children's Hospital. I have a connection to Children's Hospital. I served on the board of trustees of Children's Hospital. I know the kind of work that they do, and I know what good work they can do with the money that they get. But when I was listening to Patrick Fitzgerald, the special prosecutor in the Blagojevich trial, talk about just how callous Blagojevich was, it reminded me of Jerry Brown and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they reminded me of Blagojevich. Let's remind you of what it was and how callous Blagojevich was with regard to Children's Hospital, but more importantly, his political fortunes.
One involves Children's Memorial Hospital, a hospital that obviously takes care of children. At one point, the governor awarded funding, reimbursement funding to that hospital to the tune of $8 million. But he also indicated privately that what he wanted to get was a $50,000 personal contribution from the chief executive officer of that hospital. In the ensuing weeks, that contribution never came. And Governor Blagojevich was intercepted on the telephone checking to see whether or not he could pull back the funding for Children's Memorial Hospital.
And there's a special place in hell for that guy, and I hope his dance card is very busy at the Sadie Hawkins dance on Saturday night in whatever prison he happens to be in right now. But, this to me is a much bigger story. This symptomatic of what happened in Illinois and what's happening in California, raiding the 9/11 scholarship fund to fund deficits. Not to fix deficits, to fund deficits. Because if we listen to Jerry Brown, they can't even project what their deficits are going to be, because in January it was $9 billion, and lo and behold, here it is May, and now it's $16 billion, and they want to make sure that they do the right thing so that we don't suffer.
We're now facing a $16 billion hole, not the $9 billion we thought in January. This means that we will have to go much further and make cuts far greater than I asked for at the beginning of the year. But we can't fill a hole of this magnitude with cuts alone without doing severe damage to our schools. That's why I'm bypassing the gridlock and asking you, the people of California, to approve a plan that avoids cuts to schools and public safety. The plan asks high-income earners to pay up to 3% more in their income taxes for 7 years. It would increase sales taxes by 1/4% for 4 years.
And of course, that's all just temporary, because once they get their fiscal house in order, then they'll be able to eliminate those. Now, in looking at this aftermath of 2001, the terrorist attacks, these crooks in California, these lawmakers, were trying to channel patriotic fervor. And it was all done under the guise of, well, we want to help the victims' families. We want to help law enforcement. How can we do that? I know. How about a specialty memorial license plate, and on it we'll put the words, "We will never forget." Well, apparently they forgot what the license plates were for, because the money that was raised, the $15 million that they collected since they approved the California Memorial Scholarship Program, shows that only a tiny, tiny fraction of the money actually went to the scholarships. They used the money for funding anti-terror training programs. $3 million was raided by Governor Jerry Brown and Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, a Republican and a Democrat, both getting on board the gravy train to plug the state's budget deficit. The California Department of Motor Vehicles has been advertising the plates as helping the children of September 11 victims. Guess what, folks? They're still advertising that program, even though they stopped funding the program 7 years ago. And the specialty plate continues to generate $1.5 million each and every year. Now, let me ask you a question. Does this maybe start to get you to think that this whole homeland security, this terror that we live under, the fear that planes are going to blow up and fall out of the sky, and everybody who's driving around in a Ryder truck or a U-Haul is some member of Al-Qaeda or the Taliban or Al-Shabaab? Is the business of fear causing us to be waylaid at the airport as we get frisked by TSA? Is the whole nonsense of 3 ounces and 3 items in a 1 gallon or 1 quart bag, is this all just something that's been designed so people like former Homeland Secretary Michael Chertoff can start some consulting company so that the equipment that goes in the airports can make somebody a lot of money? Have we been sold fear, and are there people that are capitalizing on fear, just like California is capitalizing on the patriotic fervor in the aftermath of 9/11 and using children as a way to generate money, pulling on our heartstrings to make sure that these little children's go to school? And they want us to know that we will never forget. Well, remember this. Of the $15 million that was raised since they rolled these plates out, $21,381 has reached the children and spouses of California residents killed during the terrorist attacks.
The Jerry Doyle Show.
The business of fear. Oh, everyone wants to blow up my plane. Everyone wants to blow up my building. Everyone wants to blow up my school. Everyone I see is a potential terrorist. I think there are other people to look at the same scenario and say, wow, if we can get everybody to see that, can you imagine the kind of money we can make pretending to protect people from these perceived threats? Bottom line, bottom line, bottom line. Yet once again, some scumbag politician, some losers in government figure out a way to make a little do-re-mi off our patriotic fervor. Stick with me.
This is the Jerry Doyle Show.